Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to another edition of Safe Space with Pastor Wale Afelumo. This is the program where we discuss social issues that we grapple with, issues we deal with every day, emotional issues, relational issues, sometimes issues that people don't talk about. We talk about them on Safe Space. And I want to thank you for always being a part. I hope you are having an amazing Saturday. By the way, let me thank my wife for having sat in for me for a number of weeks. She's done an amazing job. You can help me appreciate her in the comment section. Remember to like our Facebook page, subscribe to this YouTube channel. We'd like to read your comments to ensure that you engage in the comment section. Ask questions. Our guest will be on hand to answer questions, and I will be there to answer some of your questions. Thank you, and you can quickly share this with your friends too. I believe that somebody will need to know what we're talking about today. Today I'll be talking about a topic I have titled Handling Bereavement from Ashes to Beauty, or Beauty from Ashes. Handling bereavement, beauty from ashes. Now, death is a universal part of life. At some point in everybody's life, you may have to go through bereavement. And it's something that nobody ever really expects or plans for. Hardly does anybody prepare for that. Now, there is no right way or right time to be bereaved. I can imagine the pain of losing a spouse, a parent, a sibling, or even a close friend. It's indescribable. It's indescribable. And we're holding today's program to be able to deal with that. Now, I know the experiences are different for everybody, but sometimes there are certain commonalities, and we'll be able to talk about that today. Now, I have a guest with me today that will be sharing their experience. They went through bereavement, and they're at a place now where they are experiencing a level of joy and compensation. Now, why have I brought in somebody? Well, I brought in an expert, but then I know that we usually connect with people's stories because we see ourselves in them. The experience is real. They are sharing from their lives. And something tells us that if they can pull through it, then we can also pull through it. We can also pull through it. So I trust that you will learn something today and just find strength. I'm trusting that this will speak to somebody perhaps going through bereavement, lost somebody, you've not been able to come out of that dark place, or to just help you, equip you to be able to help somebody down the road. Now, my guest is somebody I've known for several years, maybe over 15 years. Of course, he's here because he was bereaved at some point of his wife. He's an assistant pastor with Kingdom Light Church here in Abuja. He's a trained insurance practitioner and has a diploma in business and industrial law. He's passionate about gadgets. We've just been talking about gadgets in the studio. He's passionate about photography, videography. He's married to an amazing lady, an evangelist, Joyce, and they are blessed with children. Everybody watching wherever in the world, please welcome with me my guest to Safe Space with Pastor Wale Afelumo. Mr. Pastor is a minister of the gospel, by the way, Pastor Dele Damisa. Good to have you.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much for taking out the time to be here.
My pleasure.
I know you're a very busy man, being a pastor, a father, a photographer, videographer, and all of those feathers you have in your heart. I really want to thank you for making out the time to be here. It would be good to just greet our viewers. It would be good for them to get to meet you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Pastor Wale, for having me.
Yeah.
It's such an honor to be here. I bless the name of the Lord Jesus for the opportunity. Bereavement, as you rightly put it, it's a universal thing. It doesn't know class or creed or religion or age.
Or age, wow.
It has to do with humanity. So I've been through it, and I know.
Fantastic, and that's why you are here.
Will enable me to speak about it.
And I know we'll have a lot to talk about. Just before we go ahead again, remember to subscribe to this YouTube channel. We really would like you to do that so you can get our other episodes. You can watch other episodes. Click that bell that helps you to get notifications when we are on, and you can share this with your friends. Now, Dele, tell us about your life before bereavement, before you lost your spouse. For how long were you married? Did you have children? How many? What was life like before that?
Okay.
Yeah.
Simply put, my name is Pastor Dele Damisa. I'm from a family of 7 siblings. I being the second born of the family and the first son of the family. I have an elder sister. You know, while growing up, we have dreams, we have visions, oh, I would like to be this and that. But let me move quickly into the topic. To answer your question more directly, I got married precisely on the 5th of December, 1997, in Lagos, at the Household of God Church, pastored by Pastor Chris Okotie. It was the one that joined my late wife and I in 1997. And prior to that, I remember I was praying for a spouse, trusting God to be married. At that time, I was in my early 30s. I actually got married at age 33. I was in a relationship before that time that didn't work, and broke my heart. I was with somebody in the church, and I just vowed that I was not going to date anybody in church. But along the line, I met my wife of blessed memory, and I just noticed something about her. She was always very calm, beautiful, wonderful lady. I made inquiries, found out she was a very good person. Somebody actually hinted me that she has a friend in children's church. I used to be in the children's church of the Household of God, and that she's so person's friend. So I hooked up with that person and did some, investigation. But the lady told me something, that she's a very straightforward person. She's very frank. White for her is white, black is black. You won't be able to handle her. I said, no, I love women like that. He said, until I married her. We wedded on the 5th, like I said, of December 1997. That was when I now knew truly what they were talking about. Wonderful lady, beautiful. Long and short of it, to the glory of God, we lived together for 17 plus years.
Wow, 17 years of marriage.
Yes. Wow. We're married from December 5th, 1997, till she passed on the 3rd of April, 2015.
Wow.
In fact, the December prior, 2014, 5th December of 2014 was our 17th wedding anniversary. Prior to that time, she took ill in October, before that anniversary. Was just like routine.
I was going to ask what led to that. Was it sudden, or did you have to nurse her?
It wasn't sudden.
Okay.
She was ill. All the years that I've been married to this beautiful, wonderful woman, she was never really ill. Other than, oh, I have malaria, oh, I'm tired, and she rests. But we've never had any medical challenge up until that time.
Wow.
What happened was that she noticed, and drew my attention to it. She had some swelling in her feet.
Wow.
And she was concerned. She came up to me one day and said, my husband, my feet, I don't understand. And I'm not pregnant. You know, sometimes when women get pregnant, they experience swellings, maybe because of fluid retention on their feet. But she wasn't pregnant. We knew she was not pregnant. So we decided to investigate. And in the course of investigating, it was found that she had a medical condition. They called it, as time goes, I'll try to remember it, but one of those funny names.
Wow.
But they said she couldn't metabolize salt, and all sorts of things were happening. So it was in that period when the hospitals were, closed down. The hospital workers were on strike.
Wow.
So we first went to Wuse. From Wuse, I have a brother-in-law, my younger sister's husband, who is a doctor at the specialist hospital in Guadalajara, now University of Abuja Teaching Hospital. And He said, why don't you come to Gwagwalada? You can find a specialist and begin to deal with this thing, know what it is. So we went to Gwagwalada and we met a very wonderful doctor. God bless her soul, Dr. Manven, you know, and she attended to us. In the course of our coming and going, we became really close. One day she called me and said, I perceive you're a pastor. I said, you have said so, just to answer it.
So you say.
She said, are you a pastor? I said, you have said so. She said, then I asked her a question. I said, this thing we are dealing with, please be as honest as possible.
Honest as possible.
Tell me, is this something we can deal with?
Manage.
Is this something we can manage? She said yes. And that the condition is not a death sentence, but it had to do with not being able to metabolize salt, and that our kidney function was good. So she had not reached a point where she had a breakdown, or, you know, and that with medication and with constant monitoring, things will normalize. So she
this
gave
was
us
in December?
This was
2014?
Was 2015. Was early.
You said your 17th anniversary was
December.
2014.
But she took ill.
Okay, early 2015.
Yes.
Okay.
So we were, you know, and then we started investigating. So by the time we got to specialists was around January of 2015.
Okay. So when did things degenerate?
Well, along the line, we're going to Gwagwalada almost like in a week, sometimes 4 times, 5 times in a week, spending money, a lot of money. There were times I would go to Gwagwalada, we run tests, because it's something that requires you to constantly monitor this, monitor that, and all that. At the end of the day, one day the doctor took a look at her and said, Madam, you are doing very well. You are doing very well, because she was upbeat. You know, scripture says that the spirit of a man sustains him in infirmity, sickness. So I kept using the word of God to encourage her that, see, we need to pull through this. I didn't make it look like she's the one dealing with this, that it's, we're dealing with it, both of us. So she was encouraged, kept working on it, and it was getting resolved. After that, one day we came to the hospital, and the doctor took a look at her and said, Madam, everything has gone down, but this your feet is still a little bit like this. Okay. What we'll do, we'll change the medication.
Okay, because I'm going to ask you several other questions. We need to, you know, keep this concise. Okay. So things degenerated. Degenerated,
but not
eventually. Okay.
The degeneration didn't start at that point. Yeah. But at the point where there was an adjustment in the medication. Because the doctor noticed that the feet was not completely down. She now said she could take a particular medication drug, and that it will help bring that down. And that was the
what triggered
things turned. Wow. So I remember that particular drug took 4 days to find, because it's an off-the-counter drug. It's only by prescription that you could get it. And I went around Abuja looking for this, called friends in Lagos. I managed to get it at one of the top pharmacies in Abuja. The very first night she took that medication, she was restless. She couldn't sleep. By the next month,
from that point, from the point the medication was changed, how long did she leave after that? Okay, from the point the medication was changed, she lived for like 3 months. Wow. Wow. But those 3 months were very harrowing months for me. Wow. Restless months. Wow. We're going in and out. And then at a point, I remember very well, just to move fast, I remember very well, one day she called me. She was a woman of faith. She called me and said, my husband, I love you. I said, I love you too. There are some, I don't want to cry, but there were some highlights of that illness that really proved that we need to support our spouses or our loved one when they are going through some things. We need not only to pray for them, we need to be there, we need to make them feel like we are part of it with them. So
One day she called me, she said, my husband, I know you love me. I said, why are you saying this? We were coming from Gwagwalada. I had stopped to take a few pictures. There is this place where they display pots from Gwagwalada to Giri along the road on the right. And I just said, I've been passing this pot. I don't have pictures of these unique pots. Can I take some? She said, why not? And she sat back in the car. I quickly dashed to take the pictures. So when I came, she just put her hand on my shoulder and said, my husband, I know you love me. I said, why are you saying it? He said, you've spent so much money. At that time, I was working with Leadership newspaper. I was the deputy photo editor for Leadership. But because of the challenge of the illness, I couldn't really attend to my duty. And there were all kinds of intrigues going on at the workplace. I remember very well, some people thought maybe I was just playing absenteeism and all that. They didn't quite understand what I was dealing with. There were times I would apply for,
leave or
a short time, maybe a day off from work to be able to attend to my wife's need. But somebody within the system felt, no. There were some issues. Before I got there were a lot of issues. So when I came into the mix, I was being affected also by these issues. Okay. But long and short of that was that day, I remember very well, when she said this, I said, it's nothing. All I want is for you to be well. All I want, whatever it is, God helping me, I'll put it on the line, even if it means selling my car, selling this. All I want is for you to be well.
It was nothing you prepared for.
It wasn't what I prepared for. And prior to that...
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, had you ever at any point in your life been acquainted with bereavement of maybe anybody close to you? And did that prepare you for this?
Yes. In fact, that's a good question. You and I, we know Pastor Ina, late Pastor Ina.
Yeah.
You know, when Pastor Ina died, I've never felt bereavement like when Pastor Ina died. Not even when my own father died. My own father that gave birth to me, or that
Who was Pastor Ina to you?
Pastor Ina Omaku was the senior pastor of Family Worship Center where I used to worship. Was a father to us. By dint of my calling, I worked closely with him. I've been on a lot of assignments for him and with him. In the course of
his bereavement, what did it do to you?
His bereavement touched me. Pastor Ina is that kind of person who will send for me at short notice. Call Dele Damisa. Sometimes I will come to church, people are looking. Have you seen Pastor is looking for you? I will go and see him. He will give me an assignment. So there was this father-son kind of relationship. Because of the way he spoke to me, the way he touched my life. Pastor made me believe in myself. I didn't see myself as anything, but he made me believe in myself. So when he died, I lost that person. That really put me in a lot of trouble. I was like, so who am I going to look up to as a father now? And I remember very well, in the throes of that pain of the bereavement of Pastor Ina, the Lord gave me a scripture. Because when Pastor Ina died, I couldn't pray anymore. I was like, God, why would Pastor Ina die? I couldn't pray. The only prayer I could pray every morning when I woke up was, Lord, help me. Lord, help me. Honestly,
how did that help you with your wife's passing on? Yeah.
While I was praying, in the course of Pastor Ina's death and crying, the Lord gave me a scripture, gave me a word. I'm a person of faith. Now, that scripture is from Hebrews 11. I thought I knew Hebrews 11 because we refer to it as Christians, as the biblical hall of faith. Oh, I knew the people who acted in faith and this. But verses 39 to 40 of Hebrews 11 gave me a lot of comfort. How did it give me comfort? In the course of reading all of Hebrews 11 from 1 to 40, verse 1 to 40, the Lord asked me to read it again. Now, when I got to 39 and 40, I was told to read it slowly. The Spirit was impressing on my heart to read it slowly. And then I learned something. In verse 39, he said something about the people who lived and died in faith. And the summary of it, when I asked the Holy Spirit to give me an interpretation, understanding, was that if I believe that Pastor Ina died in faith, my continue to remain in faith authenticates his faith. Honestly. Because I've been praying, help me, help me. He gave me that word. And that was what I used to help a lot of friends who lost hope, who were like, how could Pastor Ina die? That scripture gave me a lot of comfort. That if this person served God and lived and died in faith, my continue to remain in faith in spite of my feeling that bereavement authenticates the faith of that person.
How did that help you with your wife?
Now, after Pastor Ina's death, my mother died. Pastor Ina died in 2003. My mother died in 2010. That was 7 years apart. Sylvia died in 2015.
5 years after.
5 years after my mother's death. Now, these are people who were really
Close to
dear to me. Pastor Ina, my mom and I were very close. In fact, our closeness causes jealousy in the house. They'll say, they're your boy, you know, anything where you talk, now you they take, you know. And then my wife. But this scripture helped me. In addition to that was Isaiah 57.
I know you're a pastor and there's a lot, because of time. It's really because of time. And I still have a lot because our viewers would like to, you know, hear some of your everyday. I'm still coming to your children. So,
let me just tie this one.
We need to keep the answers like right here.
Let me tie this one up. That scripture said when the righteous dies, nobody takes it to heart. But they don't know that God has prepared them to escape from the trouble to come.
Days, yeah.
You know, that also helped me to let go that, so it's us that are still here, that are still faced with all the issues of, there is fuel scarcity, there is this, there is that. So those things helped me to deal with those major bereavements that I've suffered.
Okay. That's fantastic. You are on Safe Space with Pastor Wale Afelumo. My guest, Dele Damisa, is telling us about his experience with bereavement. You can put questions or comments in the comment section, and remember to subscribe to the channel. Now, there's an American psychiatrist called Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, and she said in her book on death and dying that there are 5 stages to bereavement. Now, everybody may not go through it, and those 5 stages are denial, when you just say, no, it can't be. It can't be. Anger, maybe at God, at yourself, at the hospital.
They all happen to me.
Bargaining, when you begin to say, if only, maybe I should have, if we hadn't, and all of that. Then depression, a place where you are just depressed, and then the place of acceptance, coming to terms, okay, oh boy, this is your reality. So, did you experience any of this?
Every one of those
emotions.
Every one of them.
Wow. Tell us the one that readily comes to mind of all of them. I said that there's the denial, it can't be, the anger, the bargaining, if I had, maybe we shouldn't have, if only we had, and then the time of depression, and then at what point did you come to accept it? If you can do that briefly.
The point of denial was this, because she had always pulled through every situation of challenge, whether ill health or whatever.
That came up.
I just felt this was going to pass.
Like one of them.
Now, when it didn't pass, and we were struggling, I remember we were at Garki Hospital where she passed. I reached out to a lot of people to please join me in prayers. Some did, some did not. There were some who said, send a text, and I sent a text. They never replied to today. And I remember I called a popular man of God. He didn't pick my call. I sent him text. He later called me. I was shocked. Somebody very popular in this city. And he called me back. I was amazed. I don't know him from Adam. I've never met him in person. But he called me back. That helped. And he gave me a word. He said, servant of God, the Lord said that it is well with you. You know that word, it is well with me. Eventually she passed. When she passed, I was crying. I was in denial. In fact, that day, the day she passed, I hit my head on the wall. I was shouting, screaming, my lungs out. My daughter was consoling me, Daddy. She was crying, Daddy. Everybody saw the love between you and Mom, this and that. Long story short, we tried to manage that situation. So denial was there. There was a time I was crying. In fact, after she passed, normally in the hospital, they don't allow you to leave a dead body on the bed for more than 30 minutes. Wow. But she was left on the bed for 4 hours because I was on my knees for 4 hours asking God to bring her back. Because my kids were at a point where I was like, Father, you know in this journey I need this woman now. The third girl, I have 3 girls and a little boy. The boy, the day the mother passed, was 3 years and 7 months old. Is our last
the little
kid.
Boy.
Yes, he's 9 now. My first daughter was 16. in April when the mother passed, April 2015. She was going to turn 17 by September. My second daughter was 12. She was going to turn, she was 13, she was going to turn 14. And then the third girl was 11. No, 9. She was going to turn 11. So all of these issues, and you know the thing of girls dealing with teenagers, already, you know, I was envisaging what the issues would be. She was somebody that really, you know, was there for me. She kept the balance of the family. She was the one who was the go-between us. As a father, I had to ensure there was discipline.
Yeah, the disciplinarian.
So, yes, she was the one who was always coming. You know, she would make sure I ate. I should
be calming down.
Calming down. Sometimes the children would beg, Mommy, don't tell Daddy. You know, she would tell them, but you know, I will tell your father. Because there was something we agreed on when we were getting married that we'll never hide secret from each other. So how do you want me to break that? I'll tell you, but let's see how we come out.
Did you deal with depression at any point?
Yes. After she died, because I felt a lot of betrayal. People who ought to know my pain, who were there, who saw how we lived, who saw everything, who knew everything to the last T, you know, about me, I felt they didn't do enough. It was in the course of this whole thing that I learned some things that people may never understand you. They may never understand what you're going through. You know, there's a popular saying in Yoruba land that when you see them carrying the corpse of a dead person, you will think it's just a log of wood until you are personally affected. So they didn't quite understand what I was going through. So some did not help. And of course, some people also went to town saying all sorts of things.
I was going to actually come to that. It will be my next question. Okay. So you dealt with depression. At what point did you start coming to accepting that, okay, this has happened? I need to.
It was many years after. I wouldn't say 1 month.
It wasn't days.
Because can I be honest with you? I was angry. I was angry that she died. Not with God, though, because I have to be careful now. I was not angry with God. I knew that God was in control, but I felt alone. I felt really alone. I felt alone because she was my partner, she was my confidant, she was the one who could look me in the eye. I don't know whether you are at that point also, who could look me in the eye and tell me, you are wrong. She's the one who could tell me and say, your mouth smells, brush, go and brush your mouth.
And that's really what happens in a very healthy marriage. And sometimes when you lose a loved one, that's really what you miss. Your lives are interwoven. And you know, just that absence that you're not going to have that person again. One of the things I'm also hearing from Pastor Dele is the fact that being angry is okay. You may have been bereaved, and that is just an okay emotion. Angry with yourself, maybe angry with the hospital, sometimes maybe even angry with God, and to some extent it's okay. You just don't want to stay there.
I wasn't angry with God.
Yes, yeah, I know you said you were not angry with God. You know, I also know that for some people it's just that place of bargaining, if only, but you know what, it's happened. And one of the things that he said, his daughter said to him that I think is very strong is that, Daddy, we all saw and we all know how you loved mommy. You know, and I always say to people who are bereaved that you did your best. Don't flog yourself. Don't flog yourself. If you knew better, you would have done better. So just relieve yourself of that burden. It's okay to be depressed, but the time also comes that you come to the place where you accept it. It took him years, and it's okay if it's been 2 months, if it's been 2 years, but then your journey is to come out, and I pray that God will help you to come out. Okay, fantastic. Now, I will say my next question, and you started talking about it. I wanted to say that what were some of the things that, you know, mourners, comforters, condolers said that you're like, this is not comfort. This person is just adding fuel to the fire. What were some of the experiences that I wish I wasn't dealing with this at this point? And you began to talk about some of the things.
One of the things that I would like to say here, when someone loses a loved one.
Yeah, say maybe that's
when someone loses a loved one, it's very important for us not to assume anything. Don't assume anything about the person who's bereaved. It's important that sometimes when you come around the bereaved person, your silence is golden. Sometimes you don't even need to say anything if you don't know the right words to say. Sometimes what you just need to do is to just be present there, but don't even get into their face. Be silent, pray for them. Pray for them. Love them. Help them in whatever way you can.
Were there particular things that when you look back, you began to see some people betrayed? You felt a sense of betrayal. Maybe not say they betrayed, you felt a sense of betrayal. Were there things said and you're like, please, it would have been better if you kept quiet. Or things done that you're like,
I don't want to focus too much on even the betrayal. Can I be honest with you?
Yeah,
because God has taken away all that
the pain. Fantastic.
I'm at a place now where, not even because I remarried after 5 years and 5 months, but God took time.
I found out that in God.
Everybody's journey is different. Some people will recover within a short space of time, while some people, it takes a while. But, you know, like I said, I had to come to a point where I had to let go of the betrayal. Because there were things that God spoke to me specifically in the midst of my pain. And even in that situation that looks so critical, that looks so bad, so tough, God is speaking. What happens to us a lot of times is that when anger sets in, when frustration sets in, we don't hear him. So I was able to deal with all that pain.
Your faith helped you that period.
It helped me a lot to be able to pull through.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Periods.
You can keep your questions coming, and remember to subscribe to the channel. We really will appreciate that. And I thank those of you who have subscribed. You are on Safe Space with Pastor Wale Afelumo. My guest and I are discussing handling bereavement, beauty from ashes. Now, Pastor Dele, how did you break the news to your children, or were they in the know? Were they in the room when the sad event occurred?
Well, they were well aware of what was going on.
Okay.
My daughter, in fact, I was in the hospital from Tuesday till the Friday, Saturday morning when she passed. All through this time I was alone with her. But people would visit, go, but my husband, I had to be there. For those days I didn't bath. Occasionally I would get face towel, put it in water, wipe my armpit, put some perfume on, but I didn't bath, but I brushed my mouth. On Thursday, I asked somebody to please bring my daughter to relieve me so that I could even find a place, maybe to go to my friend's house and take a shower. So she came in. She actually passed on a Friday. She came in, my daughter came in on a Thursday, and then my wife went into coma early hours of Thursday. We're hoping that she was going to pull out of it. But by Friday morning, she died after 4 a.m.
Wow.
And I remember I was the one watching over her. And I heard her take deep breaths. The first one, and the second long drawn one. And she came down with it. And
That must have been overwhelming.
so I watched her. I started screaming, calling for the doctors. Some of our hospitals, sorry to say, they are not at their peak performance. I was calling, I even went to the nursing station, the doctor station within that space, and called. I said, my wife, please, you need to check the oxygen, this and that. They were very sluggish. At the end of the day, those were some of the things that contributed to my anger. But I had to let it go. But when she passed, how did I break the news to the children? My first daughter was there, so she saw everything. Two of us were crying. As I was crying, I hit my head on the wall, doing all my theatrics, you know, sat on the floor of the ward. And she came to me and said, Daddy, with tears in her eye, crying, Daddy, everybody knew you and Mommy had a special love, this and that. Daddy, I saw you try, you tried, you tried. Don't hurt yourself. Daddy, don't hurt yourself.
How did you tell the other two?
No, I need to finish this. She said, Daddy, don't hurt yourself. If you hurt yourself now and you die, anything happens to you, we will suffer. We will suffer. Daddy, please, even if you don't have any reason to want to live, for our sake, stay alive. Please. And I use that often. If anything goes wrong, I say, you told me not to die. I say that to her sometimes just to keep, things. So I told her, I said, The moment I heard that she was 16, saying these things, I said, wow, Daddy, if you die now, anything happens to you, we know we will survive, but people will take undue advantage of us. Please stay alive for us. And I pulled myself together. I kept quiet for a while, in between sobs, and I listened to this girl. And I gathered myself and I got up. So that was how we now went home. Of course, we didn't return to our former house. We had to stay somewhere else at my younger brother's place. Because
so you found some form of support from family?
Yes, from the family,
initially. I was going to ask you, did you deal with, I know our culture, as Africans, I can speak for Nigerians, you know, when somebody loses their spouse, for us, death, there's always suspicion around death. Who did, there must be something. Is he the one? Did she? Did you get any vibe like that, except from extended family?
No. The way I lived with my late wife was transparent. When you come to our house, you will know that, see, this one we are not managing. This one, there is love. Apart from that, even people told me in church that they wished that their marriages was like mine. They didn't even know me closely, but they saw the way
you related.
I related with my wife, with my kids. I'm always in her company. I'm not ashamed of her. I love that. I wanted to display anywhere. I can take my wife anywhere. So they saw it.
Would you say it's easier dealing with grief as a man? Maybe if you're a lady, would they have been different? Or is it different for women?
I think men are very poor at managing bereavement, grief. Because especially where love truly existed between the man and his wife. Women can deal with a lot of emotional things because you know we are
pragmatic.
Women
are practical.
We are practical. But for me, because of the relationship that existed between us, it was not easy. It wasn't easy at all. How do I move on from here? Was not easy. So I can't say categorically that, oh, maybe women cope better or that men cope better. But for me, it was not easy.
Why I asked that question, and I think it's still cultural, it almost appears that in our culture that when a lady loses a spouse, her husband, there's a lot of flack from the extended family. That's why I asked that question. That do you think you had it a little easier because you're a man? Perhaps if it was reversed, you know, and your wife was the one around, you know, and I'm just talking about this generally, you know, looking at what happens in our culture. Is it easier for men?
Well, from where we are coming from, suspicion will always arise where, you know, the husband and wife were not living together in peace and harmony. Maybe
or if there were issues with extended family sometimes, that may be their opportunity to exact their pound of flesh.
Exactly. So it's like, now we are going to deal with it. Of course, such issues came up, but it wasn't as a result of suspicion that, maybe there was something, you know, funny that played out or whatever. But it had to do with culture. Of, oh, this, that. There is certain obligation you have to fulfill. Where I come from, when a man or a woman dies, when a spouse dies, there is a culture. The culture is one of the key ways of, you know, breaking that relationship so that everybody can go their way. They will require the husband and the wife. Let's assume it's the man that passed. The woman will come and lay on the same bed
with the dead body.
There is a way they do it. They will now make a pronouncement. The woman, if this is the head of their bed before, the other, now when one passes, the one who is alive will be required to change position, place the head at the other side, while this other one, and they will make a pronouncement that, you see, the journey ends here. There is no nothing between the dead and the living. So go your way, have peace, let this person continue with it. Wow. But as a Christian, I don't believe in all those things. Those were the things we practiced in those days.
Yeah, so that created friction, some friction while you were dealing with bereavement.
Now, in my own particular case, not that that came up. At a point, they were asking me to do certain things that did not agree with my faith.
Okay.
About, you know,
just
I don't want, because it's a very sensitive matter.
No, that's fine. What I will say to our viewers, if you're watching, and it's also something we can talk about at the comment section, I like to say to people who are planning to get married,
Good.
you know, although we are Christians and all of that, but some of us come from very strong cultural backgrounds and have elders in our cultures that no matter what, they don't hear whether you are a Muslim, Christian, or whatever, they want to practice some of those cultures. So it's always good, we say to those planning to get married, to inquire about the cultural beliefs of the person you plan to get married to. And even if you are married, you didn't do that before, this is the time to begin to become aware of those things, especially during bereavement. Some even extends to your children. You want to know what the culture requires. And if it is not something you can stomach, it will just be better not to marry that person. So it's just a good thing to do, because some of those things have created a lot of problems. I know you're a pastor. I'm sure we've dealt with bereavement. I've seen women have to shave their whole hair just because they lost their husband. Some have been kept in the same room with the corpse for overnight or something. Just so it's just good to know that. Moving on, thank you very much for hanging on. You're on Safe Space with Pastor Wale Afelumo, with my guest, Pastor Dele Damisa, sharing his experience, and it's been enlightening. I'm sure you're learning one or two things. Remember to subscribe to the channel, share the page, or like the page on Facebook, and you can also share the link to your friends. Now, obviously, you are remarried, and I can see your wedding band. And I saw the pictures on social media. I saw your heavenly dance steps.
You saw that? What do you have to say about that dance? That was the spirit of David.
The spirit of David came upon you. So for me, that looks like beauty really coming from your ashes. Now, I want to ask, as we begin to wind down, and we really have very few minutes now, when did you begin to consider remarrying?
Okay. Because of where I'm coming from, it was not easy to even think about remarriage. But something happened that I would like to talk about.
Time.
Okay. I will tie it up now. Okay. One thing I would like to advise anyone who is bereaved is this. Take time to mourn the dead.
Fantastic. I'm glad you said that.
Take time to deal with that bereavement. Don't jump into a relationship as soon as you lose a loved one. There is time for everything, the Bible says. There is time for everything. So time has a way of healing your pain. Now, sometimes opportunity may even come for you to, maybe in the course of mourning, you meet somebody. A lot of people will come and visit you when you're mourning. And some will be doing some,
throwing some vibes.
Yes. You need to be careful. Because it happened to me. While my wife's body was still in the mortuary, somebody was chasing me all over town, asking me to marry her. And I said, in fact, it was almost getting a point of embarrassment. Long and short of it, it didn't work. And from that point, I got this thing about take time to mourn, deal with your bereavement, come out of it before you move on. Otherwise, you will be carrying a whole lot of weight from that previous relationship into this. And you may not even understand why some things are happening. So take time to...
Yeah, I was going to say that I've always just thought that if anybody was bereaved, they'd be married and they come with another person, do you stand the risk of comparing your present spouse with your former spouse? What increases that? Is it not dealing with the bereavement, not going through your bereavement properly? Will that predispose you to doing more of that, comparing, or it's just normal and you just have to deal with it as it comes?
Well, people will always say something, especially for me while I was waiting. They say, you see now, a lot of time you talk about this woman too much. There is no conversation you will not bring up a matter. This and that. I say, see, the problem with some of you is that you don't even understand. So it's okay. But you need to prepare yourself. When you get married now, if you keep bringing up the matter of this woman that has passed, it will create problem between you and the other woman. I say, well, it's true. So I had to also deal with that. So that's why it took me 5 years plus. Because how can I dismiss somebody that I live with? How can they talk? Do you understand? We had reached a point where if I start a sentence, she can complete it. So she had affected me that much. So I also knew that was going to be a problem in whatever relationship I enter into in the future.
So
I began to also be conscious of that, to deal with that.
Fantastic. How did your children handle the fact that you are going to be remarried, bringing another person
Okay,
into
good.
the home? Yeah.
The children, very key for me.
Yeah.
These children are a symbol. Because God spoke to me when I was going to get married that he wants me to raise for him a godly heritage. So I told her when I met her, I said, this is it. I have a call of God in my life, upon my life.
Her who? Your present wife?
No. The one who has.
Okay.
And I said this and I said that. Now, there was a responsibility on me to raise them in a godly way, the Christian way. When, this whole thing happened, dealing with, moving forward, one of the key things I factored was that if I'm going to remarry, how do I deal with the children? At the point I said I wasn't going to remarry because I didn't want a situation where I will remarry, I will now be fighting between children
and your wife.
My wife. I wanted a meeting of minds. There was no relationship that I entered into or anybody I toasted that I did not tell my children about. Okay. I'm that open with my children. My first girl is 22. The second girl is 19. The third girl is 17 now. My boy, who was 3 then, is 9 years old now. But I knew something about women that you must understand them to be able to manage whatever issues that may come up. So I always factor them into any relationship. Now, as for the relationship with my present wife, because of my experience and the things that I've been through, from the very first time that I met this woman and we started talking, I mentioned it to my first daughter. My daughter has, a very strong influence on her younger ones. Okay. So I have that understanding
so you look for the influencer.
Yes, to know how to disseminate information.
Okay.
We talk like friends, you get one babe, where I see now, say, hey, daddy. And can I be honest with you? The children got to a point where they were now the ones looking for me to remarry. Can I be honest with you?
Yeah.
That helped me. Yeah. They were looking for me to remarry because they noticed that after their mother's death, I was no longer interested in life as I used to be. I'm this upbeat guy, but suddenly I'm just too quiet. Sometimes they will come to the house, you won't even know I'm there. So they have cried to so many people, my siblings and all that, that my second daughter, very emotional, she went to my elder sister one day and said, I don't know what has happened to my daddy. Please, I know you and my daddy are very close. Tell daddy to move on. Tell daddy to, mommy is not coming back. Mommy is not coming back. My sister told me, say, your children love you. Do something. You need to move on. Now, to answer your question more directly, when I met my present spouse, I hinted my daughter. After we had agreed, we had talked. I told her, I'm that kind of person, very straightforward. The day I talked to her, I asked her question about who she is, where she's coming from, and all that. Because it was in the place of prayer that God gave me the go ahead. So I asked her a few questions to confirm with what the Spirit of God showed me. And she answered those questions correctly. The last one was about age. The other one was about marital situation. Has she ever been married? I got it clear that she was never married. And then I asked her, she confirmed she was never married. I said, you mean, then tell me about your blood group. Not that I'm particularly afraid of blood group issues, because I'm an AA, O positive AA person and all that. But I wanted to know, because it was that detailed. When I asked her, she confirmed. As soon as those things were confirmed, I gave it to her. I said, I want to marry you. And she was shocked. She kept quiet for a long time. And then today is history.
Fantastic. Where would you say, and thank you very much, and I hope we truly are learning. I really am hoping that this will bring some healing to somebody, and also just the courage to take that next step. One of the reasons we put this particular episode together is to let people know that if you've gone through bereavement, there actually can be beauty out of ashes, and God can beautify your life again. Things don't have to end where you are at right now. This is not the final chapter of your life. Coming back to you, my brother, where will you say you are at now in your, permit me to use this expression, joy tank? If you had a tank where your joy is, where are you on a half tank,
No,
tank?
definitely more than half tank. Definitely more than half tank. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
How full is the tank?
I'm a very passionate person.
Yeah.
I'm passionate about whatever I do that I love to do. From the get-go, I had a clear vision of what I wanted for my marriage. In my dictionary, there is no divorce. But you know, nobody knows tomorrow. I didn't know that I was going to be bereaved. There was no divorce. I made up my mind that anybody I marry, I'm going to take time to find out some things that are important to me, and whatever it is, I'm going to live with them with knowledge.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons why it took this long. I wasn't ready to just jump into anything because, one, I was looking to get married again, to have a wife, to have a mother for the children, to have a companion, to have all of this rolled into one.
So the tank is full.
If you ask me.
From 2015, that was April, you said, 2015?
April 3rd,
yes.
2015.
And today, the tank then and now.
Oh, Lord. The tank almost went to
Sub-zero.
completely empty. But with the help of God, that tank, I can tell you, honestly, without exaggeration, that it's at a 90 plus.
Fantastic. That's fantastic. And for me, that is very important in today's topic, because what I'm really looking at is just to let people know that no matter where you are at right now in your level of grief or bereavement, God can still bring you to a point where you get your joy tank to 90% or 100%. It doesn't mean that the pain of bereavement goes, but it doesn't come with the sting. Again,
for me, the sting is gone.
The sting,
honestly,
the sting of the pain is gone. You're watching Safe Space with Pastor Wale Afelumo. My guest, Pastor Dele Damisa. We are discussing handling bereavement, beauty from ashes. Now, would you advise people who have been bereaved of their spouses to remarry?
Well, it depends.
Yeah.
Why I said it depends is this. It depends on who you are. It depends on your calling.
Maybe also on their age. If you are 70 and you are bereaved.
If you are 70 and you are bereaved and you still feel up to it and you want a companion. I've heard of people who are 70 who got married again and they enjoy their marriage.
Okay.
There is a popular pastor in Nigeria who got married at a very, do you understand? He remarried and he's doing well. In fact, his own, I think it was about a year when he remarried. It depends on your calling. For me, called to be a pastor, it's only incumbent on me to remarry. I can be honest with you. Let me be honest with you. Because I'm at a place where I don't want to sound immodest. Let me not even say this. There's no point saying this. But you just have to understand perfectly what your calling is. If I don't remarry, I'm open to all kinds of things.
Issues, it's better to marry than to burn.
To burn. Not only burning. I was able to suppress my, urges and all that. But it took a while. That I even asked God at the point, I said, I don't even want to remarry. Kill this thing. I suffered a lot of embarrassment and all that. But one of the key things I want to bring out is, it depends on your calling. If you are called to be so person, you need to understand, do I need this? So it's based on your need, that I needed to remarry because of my calling. And I know that I cannot do this business that I've been called to do without having somebody with me. So I have to be careful who that person is.
I will also say, just listening to you, that for some persons, they may not understand the word calling, but then you also said something very important. It depends on your need. Do you think you need somebody to do what, for what, at what point are you in your life? You could, and there's nothing wrong with whatever your need is. It could actually also be a need for a companion. It could be a need for you to express also your sexual desires. It could be a need to have somebody that can be there to give balanced parenting to your children. It could be a need for somebody for you to serve God together, to do your business together. But then you must identify that need. So you're not just remarrying for remarrying's sake, but that there is a need.
In fact, you have answered.
I think that is fantastic. Now, it appears that widows find it more difficult to remarry. From your experience, while in your time of bereavement, you may have had the privilege to rub minds with people in the same category and all of that. Is that true, and why would you think it is so? It's like it's a bit easier for widowers than widows to remarry.
Because of our culture.
Yeah.
You know, in this part of the world,
Yeah.
unlike the Western world, a woman can like a man or love a man or whatever and walk up to him and say, I like you. She could say, let's go for dinner and try to show her interest. But in this part, the men are the ones who are required to declare their manifesto.
Make the proposal.
Make the proposal. So for men, men are at an advantage because they are the ones who are supposed to step up to the lady and say, oh, this, I'm interested, let's be friends and all that. So it's always easier for a widower to remarry than a widow. And then another thing is age. You know, age. When people are younger,
it's easier.
The prospect is better.
Yeah.
Now, for a woman who lost her husband, maybe at age 55, at 60.
Wow.
Except she has this somebody back down there many years back who was always eyeing her, and who also is not married at any point.
Or maybe also is also bereaved.
Also bereaved. There could be some connection along the line.
Could it also be, as you were talking, I just have this picture, you know, of animal documentaries. I like animal documentaries, and sometimes when you look at the lion's pride, you know, when a lion comes to a pride, usually you'll find a male with females and the little cubs, the baby lions, the girls, and when a new guy takes over, when a new lion takes over the territory, displaces the initial one,
the old lion,
kills all the male.
To be able to.
It kills the else, kills because they are potential threats, you know, later. So I'm also thinking, I know that for many women, their challenge is their children. They are wondering, will I find a man that will come and love these children?
Exactly.
And not see them as a threat or competition to whatever children we have later tomorrow. Women will dote on their children. They will love on the children.
Definitely.
And the man may feel like this is a competition.
Yes.
You know, so I think that may also be something that makes some women hold back.
Yes. See, the point you raise now is very real. Let me use myself as a typical example. That first relationship I told you about, the lady adopted some kids. The first one, my son is older.
Had adopted some kids before you met her?
Yes.
Yeah.
She had adopted, she's not married. She adopted 2 kids when we met. Now, in the course of interacting, the boy always would go and hit my son. One day she came to me and said, talk to your boy, he's always beating my boy.
What?
So I said, but they are our children. We're not married, but we're,
yeah, you know? I see what you mean.
So those are real issues. Those are real issues. Now, for some reason, I started praying. I said, God, I don't know what you want me to do, but help me. I don't want any complications. The woman that I'm currently married to has never been married all her life. This is her first marriage. And she has no children, but she adopted children. When I say adopted, not like adopting children from infancy. Mentors. Train them through school. God had prepared this woman for me. In fact, one of the things that God showed me about her,
actually just 2 more minutes.
Okay, one of the things that God showed me about her was that He had sufficiently trained her to be able to take my children at the point they are.
Still be a mother to them and be a friend to them.
And the children are happy.
That's fantastic.
Yesterday you needed to see the birthday.
Yes, it was her birthday. That's fantastic. I wanted to say that as I close, this should be my final question. Now you lost a spouse. And you were able to remarry to give you some sense of, you know, compensation, consolation, comfort. I'm looking at somebody who has lost a child, who has lost a parent, who has lost a sibling that may not be able to get those back. Maybe a woman is losing her child, she's in her mid-50s or something, may not be able to get. How can they find some sense of consolation or joy again? What would you say to that?
That's a very tough one.
It is. It is. Even me asking it, I think it is.
If it's a spouse, you know, that is replaceable. But if it's a child, it's not that easy. But what I would say to anybody who has been bereaved, whether you are going through the bereavement of a spouse, a child, somebody very dear to you, sibling, is to have hope in God. One of the ingredients of survivor is hope. Now, hope is critical for everything, because without hope in this life, we don't have anything to even look forward to. It's not easy to deal with bereavement. It's not easy. I've been there. It's not easy to deal with bereavement. But one of the things I've also come to learn is that time heals all wounds. Even if you have a fresh wound, when you go to the doctor to dress the wound, that wound does not heal that same day. It will still take time. So for anybody going through bereavement, what you need is time. Be patient. Keep hoping. Keep trusting that things will work for your good. Out of the ashes of your pain, something positive will come out.
Fantastic.
One of the things I know is that, like now I'm talking about this. If anybody is going through the same thing, I'm a resource person. I can encourage you. I can help you with some of my own personal experience.
I was going to come there. I wanted to, and I'll make a comment on everything you said. I was going to say that how can people reach you? Because, like I said at the beginning, I'm sure you didn't go to school for this, for bereavement and all, but I told you that your experience actually makes you qualified to be a blessing to somebody, to help somebody through the experience.
Thank you
so how can people reach you? Because a ministry may just be coming out, even if it's on the side, to comfort, because people are dealing with bereavement, the pain of separation. How can people reach you? If people wanted to reach you,
when you say reach me,
maybe social media, maybe your phone number or something, whichever you are comfortable with, we are going to put at the bottom of the screen, which will be comfortable.
I'm on Facebook. I post motivational things about life, about situations.
But if somebody wants to talk to you personally, can they inbox you on Facebook?
Yes.
Will you prefer that, or a WhatsApp message?
You can inbox me on Facebook. You can send me a message on WhatsApp. I'll give my WhatsApp number.
Okay, so we'll put the number. Okay, we'll put the number at the base of the screen.
Can I be honest with you? There is no situation in life that we cannot overcome. As we were talking now, I remember
our time is actually up. But you can
keep
it very short.
I spoke with a man of God in this town about what the Lord was laying in my heart with all of this experience. And he said, do you know, my first wife died too. I never knew. This is somebody I respect. I'm older than him, but I respect him. Pastor Sam. He said, that's one ministry that nobody's dealing with. Man of God, if you can start something, I'll support you.
Yeah, so fantastic. So you have a ministry right there, somebody to talk to, somebody to help you through the pain. I had said, to thank you very much for coming, but I said I was going to make a comment on everything you've said. I think because that's what today is really about. We asked that very difficult question: if you've lost a child that you can't replace, a sibling that you can't replace, a very dear friend. One of the ways, in addition to what he has said, keeping hope alive, holding on to God, one of the things you can also do is actually to believe that God can still bring somebody into your life. You know, before you know it, as time goes on and as you open yourself to God's love, you will see somebody rise up in your life that will be like a child.
Exactly.
Somebody rises up in your life that will be like a brother that sticks closer, or a friend that sticks closer than a brother. You begin to see people come up. If you are just open, you will see somebody that will begin to call you mommy, daddy, if you just open yourself. Because really what we miss in bereavement is that friendship, that companionship, that being loved or loving. And I know that, you know, just in the process of time, God will send people into your life that you can love or that can love you, that can train you, guide you, or that you can train and guide. Right. And so at the end of the day, you will look back and say, it was good that I was afflicted.
Exactly.
Because God has somewhat compensated. I just think this is one topic we can't take God out of.
No, it's not possible.
Yeah, because really bereavement is just, that is man at his weakest. You can't do anything. There's separation. There's absolute, you can't see that person again. So you need some power that is beyond you. I'm sorry. I want to thank you very much. Let me also say this. I write devotionals, and I did something on bereavement I think last year. If you can go to the page, we'll also put it at the bottom, inspiredtogo.com. It is called From Bereavement to Becoming. And there are 5 in the series. It will be good to read that, and it will help you. Thank you so very much for being a part of Safe Space today. I know that I took your time, and you could have been doing several other things. My love to your dear wife. I'm wishing you a blast. I'm really praying that the glory of the latter will be greater than the former. You said very beautiful things about your late wife, but this is going to surpass it. This is going to surpass it. My love to your children too. Thank you very much. This is Safe Space with Pastor Wale Afelumo. Thank you for joining. Remember to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Bye-bye.